Breaking tonight, prosecutors in Broward County, Florida say that they will seek the death penalty in the case against this man, the 19-year-old, in last month's Parkland shooting that left 17 people dead, including 14 students. A local gun shop owner says that he tried to prevent this from happening by refusing to sell a firearm to that gunman because of his age just a few months before the shooting. Here now is his story. Razi Greidey, the owner of Coconut Creek Pawn Shop in Florida, joins me now. Mr. Greidey, thank you for being here. Take us back to that moment when he walked into your gun shop and you decided not to sell him a gun. What were your impressions of him, and why did you make that choice?
He walked into the store. We had a couple of other customers at the store at the time, and he waited his turn. He looked around, and when his turn came, he asked if he can see some AR-15s. And I asked him how old you are. He said, I'm over 18. And I said, are you younger than 21? He said, yes. And I told him this is our store policy not to sell weapons to under 21, kids under the age of 21. He didn't argue, but he said, it isn't within my rights. And I said, I understand that, but it has been our store policy to prevent that from happening when it comes to our store. And I didn't make much of it at the time. He turned around and left. Obviously, he was very upset. He left us a Google review, which was pretty bad.
Yeah, he wrote a Google review of your store. And what did he say about you on that?
He said, if I recall, he said something like, denied me customer service, something like denied him the customer service. Very judgmental, denied me customer service. You were
very judgmental. Why did you make that decision? Now the law will be 21 in the state of Florida since the bill has been signed by Governor Scott, but that was just your own decision. Why did you make that decision back then?
I own an air conditioning company in Florida, and the pawn shop is a pretty new thing for me. I only own it for about a little bit over 5 years. And it's a different type of crowd, different type of people. And when I started in my pawn shop, I noticed that kids that come to the store at the age of 18, which they can start selling and pawning stuff, are very disrespectful. If they don't get the way, they get rowdy. I got spit on a couple of times. I got people throwing punches at me a couple of times. And I decided when it comes to weapons, not to sell weapons to them. Obviously, I didn't think they will be ready for it. And I didn't want anything happening that being on my conscience. So it's been my store policy from day one not to sell weapons to kids under 21. Yeah,
and you have a military background yourself, I believe. So tell me what your reaction was when you saw who did this in Parkland to all of these poor students and you realized that he had been in your shop. How'd you feel?
Well, I saw a picture of him. I was actually, when it happened, I was in Israel visiting family. And I checked, when I had the name, I knew it sounded familiar because I engage all my customers in my store with conversations and asked for the names. And I went online to see a picture of him, and I realized that he was in my store. And I couldn't, I don't want to say the word jumped out of happiness that I didn't sell him the weapon, but I was so relieved. There was still a little doubt in my mind, and I was 99.9% sure that he was him. I knew he was there a few months prior to. I couldn't place him exactly in time, but when about a week ago, when we went over our Google reviews, we realized that it was him about 4 months ago in the store.
Well, you sound like a wise man, sir, and that you make responsible decisions in your store. And unfortunately, the same decisions weren't necessarily made by others. And I thank you for being here, Mr. Greidey. Good to see you tonight. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you.